Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.
My name is Ben Dickerson. I'm your co-host, lover of everything NFL football, and by the way, also a fantasy geek.
Yes, fantasy. We're going to talk some fantasy. We are about to kick it off,
It's time,
man.
bro. It's time.
We're about to kick it off.
Yep.
Thursday night. Historic.
Let's
Packers. Bears.
Couldn't think of a better matchup, especially in the 100th season.
Look, we put together some special stats. We're going to get ready to go into that.
Okay.
And we got some social media. We're going to go into that. This will be a show where we basically are going to focus on the game tomorrow, the Thursday night game to kick off the 2019 NFL season. And then we'll be coming back for another video where we'll cover the rest of the weekend and talk about that. Sounds good?
Cool.
All right. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification button. And we're going to get ready to kick it off big time here. So this is Ben and Barry on football. Ben, I did say subscribe, and I didn't forget it this time.
No, you didn't. Please click subscribe and on notifications.
Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. It is the Green Bay Packers. Who's home? Man, what a question.
Come up and ask me
that question
like that. I think the Bears are home, to tell you the truth, but why don't you find that real quick? While you're doing that.
Yes, we will. So what we were trying to do here is we wanted to share information about each team. And the thing is, we utilize the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. And the Net Point Power Rankings, you can go to Sterling NPPR at Sterling NPPR on Facebook, and we're also on Twitter, where we track net points and we rank teams by net points. Now, again, net points is the difference between points scored and points given up, points for and points against. And so it's a purely, what's the word for numbers? It's just numbers. There's no opinion. Quantitative. It's purely quantitative, Absolutely. No opinion, and that's how we rank them. However, we found that this method surely takes us to the playoff teams, the Super Bowl teams right away. You kind of know who's who. So since this is the first game of the season and we don't have a previous game of which to rank anything, we're going to actually bring you the information. This is from the end of the 2018 season, where you see on the board right now, net points, points for, points against, and TO diff is turnover differential. So the Packers, as they came out of the 2018 season, they were ranked 19th with minus 24 net points last year.
So they were on the minus side.
They were on the minus side.
Not good.
And the thing is, you know, you think about, okay, who was the coach? Where were they at? The health of, Aaron Rodgers. And then you add that to, well, who's there now? What's one of some of the biggest changes? So what we have is the brain trust there so that everyone can take a look. Their head coach, Matt LaFleur, offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, defensive coordinator, Mike Pettin.
Mike Pettin's been around.
You'll know a little more on that. Special teams, Sean Menenga. And you can't have a brain trust without talking about the starting quarterback. In this particular case, Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Absolutely.
So coming from 19th ranking last year and putting in a new coach, that's if you're talking about competing this year, that's going to be a big move. They gave up. They scored 376 points, which put them square in the middle of the pack last year.
Ranked 15th in points for.
Now, defensively, they were even worse. Ranked 22nd, giving up 400 points.
And therein lies the problem for the Green Bay Packers last year, as far as finishing in the minus category in net points, is their defense really let them down, and they didn't have the type of points for production that you would expect from an Aaron Rodgers-led team.
And then in addition, they wound up net zero in turnover differential. So that wasn't an advantage or a particular disadvantage. But for many teams that, are really competing at the higher level, that should be an advantage. That should be the plus side. That's what you're looking for.
And because this is part of turnover differential is part of our ranking system, just real quick, if they came out with 0, that means they gave up the same amount of turnovers as it. Right. Giveaways and takeovers were
equal.
Right.
And so that's just the net. It could, it could be 12 and 12, 24 and 20, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. It wasn't plus 20. It wasn't plus 10. So, that doesn't help you.
No.
What do you have to say about Mr. Matt LaFleur?
Well, let me just say this. There's a lot of speculation about what went on in Packerland last year and what led to them having to get a new head coach. Some of it was some differences between Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy. That could have been a big part of it. Could have been a small part of it. Who knows? I've heard give and take on both sides of that. But when they went and got Matt LaFleur, I'll tell you kind of what they got. They got a guy who was a quarterback coach with Washington, also with the Atlanta Falcons. He was the offensive coordinator for the LA Rams. He comes from the Mike Shanahan coaching tree, which I find a bit interesting. If I named a couple other guys from the Mike Shanahan coaching tree, let's just take 2, for example. The word genius has kind of been tagged on him. One of them is his son, Kyle Shanahan. And the other one is, what's that new Rams quarterback's coach's name? The Rams head coach name?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So they come from the same coaching tree. So that's where Matt LaFleur comes from. So if you didn't know, the guy's got a little experience with offenses and schemes and those type of things.
Well, he's going to be in Chicago. We asked that question earlier.
Oh, okay, good.
All right, that's a 8:20 kickoff on Thursday, September 5th, 8:20 p.m. I believe that's Eastern time. So first-year coach,
first-year
head coach, super seasoned starting quarterback.
Yes,
that's an interesting. Who has not played one down in the preseason.
Yeah, and we can say that about that. That's a whole nother subject in itself, but go ahead.
It's a factor.
Absolutely. It's a factor.
As a subject, we can talk about it, but it's a factor. So, you want to mention that, because it wasn't 100% of the quarterbacks that didn't play. There were some quarterbacks who played.
No, that's true.
But
remember, you said super seasoned.
Super seasoned.
So let's just, without getting off the subject, Rodgers didn't play in the preseason. Carson, I'm not getting on Eagles fans. Carson Wentz didn't play in the preseason. Super seasoned. A couple shaky years, some injuries. 2 different reasons probably for each of them not playing in the preseason, but nonetheless, they will each play their first or get their first game action this week.
I don't know if it's 2 different reasons. The reason is,
okay, that's interesting.
We don't want them to get hurt. That's the reason. We don't want an injury. They don't want to risk it. In Rodgers' case, he doesn't really need it.
There we go.
And
there's more to that.
So again, the risk benefit is, he doesn't, but the question is, does he really need it? Because again, it is a new head coach, new system, so you and I call the first 4 games the second preseason. Mm-hmm. So the timing, the crispness, if they got it in practice and if they
right, really but who can most afford to be expected to come in with good timing, having not played up until this point?
Well, you're
even though they both are being held out to not get injured.
Well, in one, you have the super seasoned quarterback in the new system, and the other, you have the younger and then system that he's comfortable with. He's been there. It's his 3rd year there, so
that's cool.
And it didn't have a lot of big changes in this receiving core. He's got mainly his tight ends, got 2 or 3 guys the same. Got maybe 1 guy, 2 guys that are kind of new. I'm talking on the Eagle side.
The Eagle side?
Yeah. Wentz. We're talking about Wentz. Well, you said Wentz.
I brought him up as an example. I'm comparing a seasoned quarterback to a quarterback that doesn't have a lot of seasoning. That's it. I've had enough of that.
It's about injuries.
Let's get back to
in any event. As we were saying here, that's that's the situation as far as the Packers are concerned. Okay, so they struggled last year in the bottom half to the bottom third of the league in terms of these particular statistics, which we follow and which we track people with. Anything about an OC in DC or Mr. Menenga?
Nathaniel Hackett's been around for a while.
Okay.
Wait, these are the. Oh no! Oh, you wanted to ask me. You know what? I think Mike Patton was the defensive coordinator for the Bears at one time. I could be mistaken.
Okay.
But that could prove to be interesting if, in fact, that is the case.
Speaking of the Bears, let's go there. The Chicago Bears. Marked difference in the way they finished up the season right there.
Absolutely.
Net points, they were ranked 4th with plus 138. So if you looked at the net point differential, okay, between them and the way they ended up and the way the Packers ended up, what do you add 24 on to 38? What do you about 160?
Big difference.
Something Huge. Like that, and 62, somewhere around there. So it's a big difference between the way they ended up. In terms of points for, now, again, Chicago Bears, you don't think about them as necessarily an offensive powerhouse yet. You think about an offense, a good offense, but they were 9th, plus 21. Well, they, not plus, points for is always plus. So 421 points scored there, so that they weren't bad. They're in the top third of the league in scoring. Finished up points against number 1 last year.
Right.
Only gave up 283 points. And as we talked about where the Green Bay Packers were turnover differential at 0,
right.
The Bears were ranked 3rd with plus 12 in the turnover differential.
Meaning they had 12 takeaways above their giveaways.
Exactly.
Got it.
Exactly. So, for example, had they given away the ball 10 times, they took it away 22 times.
Exactly.
Plus 12. And so that's very, so you got a team that's coming back. They let Jordan Howard go to the Eagles, but they're pretty confident in their run game. Trubisky's about his 3rd year in now.
Yep.
He's starting to think and see these contracts that they're handing out.
He's got to think that
time
way.
To play, you know what I mean? So, and this is the 2nd year for their DN,
Khalil
Mack there, who's, I understand, is taking a real leadership position. Now, they got a 2nd-year head coach.
Yes, Matt Nagy. Just a little background on Matt Nagy, in case you didn't know. He came up through the Eagles. He was an intern. Before that, Matt Nagy actually did play. He never played in the NFL, or yes, I think he was a backup quarterback for the Eagles back sometime, low on the totem pole. Played a lot of arena football.
Oh, yeah?
So he's got experience. Yeah, Arena 1, so he's got experience playing professional football. He came up through the Eagles system. He was an intern. He was a coaching assistant, quality control coach, all that kind of stuff. He was a QB coach and offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. So obviously it was Andy Reid that brought him through the Eagles system. Okay.
Offensive coordinator for the Chiefs.
And then brought him over as an offensive coordinator for the Chiefs.
For some reason, I hadn't thought about him as an offensive guy. But
if I'm not mistaken, and I'm we're kind of doing this off the cuff, although we have our information and stuff together. Sometimes names and situations might get away from us, but I believe he was the offensive coordinator when Doug Peterson was the quarterback coach. I believe Doug Peterson only had 1 year as of carrying the official offensive coordinator tag,
so
to speak, but he was there. They were there together. He was the quarterback coach at the time, I believe. And he came up under the Andy Reid coaching tree, of course.
University of Delaware.
Wow, local guy. Or at least went to college local anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They have Mr. Helfrich.
He's been around. Chuck Pagano, everybody should remember Chuck Pagano from the Colts.
Yeah. How's his health? He's doing okay.
I think he's doing well now, yeah.
Okay. Chuck Strong, right? That was
Yeah,
back in the day.
right.
Was Chuck Strong. So
Right.
he was beloved, man.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Indianapolis.
yeah.
So, good to see that he's there. And trying to remember those Colts defenses.
Yeah, they were
Not
tough.
bad.
They
They were
weren't
pretty
bad
good.
at all.
They were pretty good. And so again, special teams, Chris Tabor, we have to see how that turns out. I want to track special teams a little bit closer this year, especially the special teams contributions to points.
Okay.
I remember there was one year where we were talking about we were looking at the Eagles, or I was looking at the Eagles, especially in terms of net points.
Right.
And I was realizing that they were getting a lot of special teams points in their total points thing. And so the question was, when they got to the playoffs and stuff, were their special teams going to be able to continue at that level? They didn't. So
no, if I remember correctly,
fizzled.
they had this really hot streak and a run of kickoff returns and punt returns and things of that nature that helped them extremely.
Yeah. I mean, it was impressive. It was impressive. But it's tough to carry that, not too many people can carry that deep into the playoffs.
Right.
That's
teams. Not something that's necessarily
dependable.
Dependable is a good word for an entire season. Yeah. Not like you can depend on your offense to give you this much and then some. Exactly. You can depend on your defense to give you this much and then some. Maybe stumble here and there. But special teams, that's that kind of unknown. You can prepare as best you can for it and hope for your best results.
So, there's been some changes. And again, utilizing net points, normally we will look at the week before, take those net points and compare them, for the teams. But we didn't have that. So we wanted to look at what they finished up with last year.
Right.
Again, just to summarize, obviously Chicago finished up markedly stronger than Green Bay in every category. So as a team, they look like a better team coming into this season. Now I know you like Devontae.
Absolutely.
I know that as a fantasy guy, I guess you don't want to say whether you're going to get him, right?
Well, I have a really big draft tonight, so I don't want to say too much. But it's a keeper league, so I don't have him. Somebody else already has him.
Okay, so that makes it different. But do you see anything in the what's the fantasy world saying about the defenses here with the Bears and the Packers?
Okay, this is really interesting. Now, fantasy football kind of opens up on ESPN, CBS, NFL.com, blah, blah, blah. Like in July. You can go on, you can do mock drafts, and you can actually join leagues. And they're public leagues, and they don't cost any money, and they're just fun. So I use them to kind of prepare for my big leagues with my friends and my money leagues. And early on, and I would say up until almost last week, the Bears were projected to be the number one fantasy defense this season. The Packers were, I would say, in the lower third. As the season is about to begin, I checked the rankings again. The Bears are now projected to be the fourth ranked defense. Teams like the Vikings and the Saints are now projected to be ahead of them. Now, some things may have happened. They may have lost this guy, picked up that guy. I don't know. I don't want to say. These prognosticators that come up with these rankings, it's like groups and big groups of people that do this, and they use all kind of statistics and crazy stuff.
Group opinions.
But it's not. This isn't like so-and-so said this. These are group rankings that I look at. The Packers have now vaulted to 13th rank now. So this is my thing. The Bears defense is still going to be good. I have no doubt about that. The question is, will the Packers defense be markedly better? Because if they're not, the Packers are going to struggle to make the playoffs again. Let's face it. Them, the Bears, the Vikings, that's a tough division. And the Lions can always jump up and bite you. Get it, bite you. So that's a tough division. they'll have to be better on defense. It killed them last year. When you look at the Bears, you're looking at Trubisky. Is this the year that he makes the jump? Is this the year that he makes the leap from an okay quarterback on a really good, well-balanced team, or if he becomes an actual star? Because if he becomes a star, they were 12-4 last year, I think. Okay, he becomes a real star. If he really becomes the kind of quarterback that they hope he's going to be, the Bears are going to be a real tough out all the way through the season. Tough division and all. So
the thing about Trubisky, he ties into the whole theme of the running quarterback. If he goes through even with all his capabilities, because he can run. When
he has the ability to run.
He's pretty athletic,
and he's not slow.
He's not, yeah. But if he can get to his third read before he starts running around, you know what I mean? He will vault. Because he has all the tools. Yes. It's the same thing with Wentz. It's the same thing with Lamar and all the other running with Deshaun. They can get to that read before they start running.
Right.
We talked about Lamar and
they have decent scrambling ability.
His ability to move is really good. The question is his ability to use the pocket. Right. It's one thing to roll out. Yeah, you can roll out all day if you have that capability, but now you've left your pocket. People are coming from different directions, and you got to be really, quick. Now, Aaron does that.
Aaron manipulates the pocket hardly
he rolls out.
He has that ability too.
Yeah,
two separate abilities.
I know. That's great. Why he's Aaron.
Exactly.
So these guys need to develop those skill sets, that pocket skill set, the rollout skill set, and the accuracy, because they have the strength. The deep ball, they can throw it. How accurate? That's the question. You know what I mean? But overall, as a team, man, looks to me like the Bears. I don't know.
Well, the great thing about doing this video here today at the beginning of the season for the very first game is we don't have the Sterling net point power rankings to use as a comparison before we, try
Something
to decide.
For you to disagree with.
Right. I don't have anything to disagree with. But if you look
you can disagree with me, go ahead.
But if you look at the rankings from last year, you would have to say that the Bears would be favored. Because they're at home, I'm going to go with the Bears also, but I think it's going to be a much better game than the rankings would suggest the way they ended up last year. Sure, there's been a lot of changes. I expect some of those changes and most of the changes on the Packers side to be positive ones. I think we're going to see a different Green Bay Packer team.
Maybe so. It will be interesting because, again, we have a rookie head coach, excuse me.
That's true.
New system.
That's true.
And a player who didn't play in the preseason in that new system at all. So I don't expect the Packers to be as precise in what they're doing, especially offensively, as the Bears should be. I think the Bears have the stability of bringing in, same coach, third-year quarterback, all that stuff.
That's where I will disagree with you.
Okay.
I think they're going to come out on fire. I think they're going to come out looking like they've been running this forever.
Now, it's funny because, Aaron's been looking real relaxed. I mean, he showed up in Canada with a,
polo tie.
Like he was a janitor or something like that.
The porn mustache.
Porn mustache and all of this stuff. So he's not looking too frazzled about any of this stuff.
Nah.
And he's Mr. Relaxed anyway. So, okay. All right. So you like the Bears? But
I like the Bears to win, but I think the Packers will show that they're ready for a good season.
Okay. And I think
especially offensively
will win. And I'm really curious to see how well oiled that offense looks coming out first game.
Okay.
Big question there. All righty. Now, that normally we'd be covering like all of the games, Benny, but today in this is a shortened one. We're going to come back with another video. We want to talk a little bit about our social media. We have a few things that we might throw some comments out upon. Now, Ben, anytime there is to throw the football, anytime that there's a major,
sent someone to see me play.
piece coming out about the Niners, I am required.
It's not about the Niners.
Jerry
You
Rice,
can't make it about the Niners, though, man.
It's
just go ahead, continue.
Niner.
Come on, talk about what you're gonna talk about.
Now, oh, salty. 4 teams was interested in Mr. McCoy. And so we put out we shared the Bleacher Report information, and it was very interesting just to look at each team to see what could possibly have happened. You know, I really was wondering if Belichick got a chance to get his hands on McCoy, what he would do.
Were they reported to be?
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, these are the 4 teams: the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Chargers, and the Patriots.
Okay.
So, you know, I had that question. We also had the question as far as the Chargers. I wasn't feeling that. I didn't see LaShawn replacing Melvin Gordon. You know, different points in their career, health, and everything, and I don't see like the way they like to run Melvin. You know,
plus the Chargers, I think they're very happy with their running back situation.
Without Melvin?
Well, I'm sure they would much rather have Melvin, but without Melvin, they have Eckler and they have Justin Jackson, and it worked out for them when Melvin was hurt last year.
Okay.
And they're happy with those guys. They're in the system.
Well, they said that they were interested.
Apparently,
they showed some interest. Yeah. I didn't see it happening.
They only showed interest, I think, is because it looks like Melvin's going to actually hold out for the year. That's the way it looks. So they might have thought, okay, is this guy still going to be a quality enough running back that we can bring him into?
So he'd be one of 3 backs then,
right?
In the rotation. In the rotation, I can see it.
Right. We're not trying to replace.
Gordon.
No, we're not.
Okay, I didn't see that either. Again, fascinating. What, you know, bringing him back potentially to the Eagles, and the Eagles again showed interest, and I didn't put a lot of stock in it relative to their existing running back group at first.
But then something else happened. Oh, you're not ready to go there? Go ahead.
You talking about
what happened recently?
What they did?
Yes.
Yeah, what they did. Well, no, we can go.
So why do you say you didn't put much stock in?
Well, again, when I say much stock, I thought that they were pretty good at running back. That they knew who they wanted. You know, they had
kind of like what I'm saying with the Chargers.
Right. They had Miles Sanders. They had Jordan Howard. They had Corey Clement.
Right. And then they got Sproles to do here.
To do all of the shifty stuff that LaShawn could do. You know, throwing it out to the flat and then shake 3 guys and all of that stuff.
So they were happy with their running back situation.
As I you know, thought about it, and then, you know, my Eagle fan wife was like, "Oh, maybe we can connect LaShawn and Deshaun. They could get back together again." Like they're having like visions of the old Eagles and stuff. And I've heard something. It's funny how some of those guys are stuck in the past.
Yeah, that's fan speak.
But then we thought about it. You know, our boy Corey Clement. If they brought LaShawn, we're like,
that bumps him down on the totem pole.
It might bump him out of the totem pole
could.
On a 53-man cut down weekend. So we were a little concerned with that. So we were like, okay, well, they were good. And so we just put that aside, that they were happy with their running backs. Mm-hmm. But then today's news.
Yes. The Chargers have given Melvin Gordon the opportunity to seek a trade. And evidently, the Eagles, what's the word they used? Floated an idea of bringing him here for Jordan Howard.
And a draft pick.
And a pick.
And a draft pick.
And the fact that they threw in a pick makes me think they were not super serious, but pretty serious.
And it also seemed to devalue Jordan Howard a little bit.
I'd be feeling some kind of way about him.
You know what I mean? I thought that they were rock solid behind him. He wound up going back to his previous coach, Andy Reid, in Kansas City. You know, we said his ability to catch and move would be great in KC, back with Andy, and then that's what actually happened.
And also, again, like we said, the Chargers were probably happy with their running back situation, and the Eagles were pretty happy with their running back situation. I think the Chiefs probably were not. I think when they had Kareem Hunt and then they had Damian Williams behind him, and they had another Williams. I forget his first name. Jamal Williams. No, he's on Green Bay. Behind Damian, that was their ideal situation. But now that Kareem Hunt is gone, and Damian Williams has become the starting running back, I don't think they have enough behind him to feel really comfortable, and probably would have made some kind of a running back move somewhere along the line earlier in the season until this presented itself.
I mean, like, so they were ready to make a move.
Yep.
And I hear, is it the other running back? Like, they got a lot of speed in Kansas City. Like, Deshaun is definitely the slowest guy.
Right. The combination of Mahomes' magic and the kind of speed that they can turn out, it makes them extremely dangerous. And they're a favorite to make the Super Bowl. Not necessarily mine, but they are a favorite.
We share. If you haven't gone to our website, check out the trick plays. Look at this.
I've never seen a trick play anything like that. And you know what? It's more deception.
Yeah, that's what the trick play is about.
Yeah, but
that's the trick.
But it's not deception like that's deception. Like, we're going to show you this, but we're really going to do that. They didn't show them anything. And they came out in what looked like a regular set and threw a regular pass. That's the difference between that and a lot of those other trick plays. Those other trick plays lead you to believe we're going this way when we're actually going that way. Or make you think I'm throwing a pass to him when I'm actually giving this guy the Statue of Liberty with my other hand.
They did that.
That is on. Yes, I looked at all of them. Those are trick plays. But that lineup, all that did was just make the defense go woo woo woo. You know what I mean? Because when they broke out,
it almost reminded me of Swinging Gate. Kind of,
yeah,
sort of. And that
kinda.
It's a formation.
There you go. You're exactly right. There's formation deception.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they broke out of it, if you notice, they went whoop, 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 right in order, right to their spots.
Yeah.
Everybody at the same speed got right in.
They look almost like the marching band. You know the marching bands, they do that. They go formation and stuff like that.
They ran a regular doggone play.
I know, and it almost didn't work. The quarterback had a little escape going on.
Yeah, he had to get out, move in the pocket.
That almost didn't work. But
that was cool.
Go to Bennett. Well, that's the Sterling Net Point Power Ranking, but we shared it on Ben and Barry on football. Are we at the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings here? We sure are. How'd I get here? Okay, we talked about that with Jordan Howard. Interesting. Let's move over to Twitter with Ben and Barry on football. We'd like you to come visit us here at B&B on football. And so we share it. There's a Madden. You know, it's funny. 1,184 was the number of people that had to be cut. So if
in a week's time.
In a week's time. So if you're playing Madden, the roster updates are like, I'm looking, wait a minute. What's this guy? He ain't supposed to be there no more, you know? So these guys are working. They're a little step behind them. They're not exactly on it, but things are happening really fast.
That's
like
difficult.
Today, I would love, I don't think they ever actually not had Zeke in the game or available.
No, of course not.
No, he wasn't available in the preseason. So, when you download your roster, you could have still played with him. So that's the video game inaccuracy there. But they have been doing some roster updates and they're catching up with stuff. Also, visit us on Instagram, where we're sharing information on an ongoing basis. There's that 1184. Football is life, man.
Yep.
There's not everybody makes it big. Not everybody makes it big. The Canadian League is playing. Right now.
They're almost mid-season, aren't they?
I'm not sure exactly where, but I do know they're playing. I saw something. The International Football Association of International Football. They've got leagues that are running now throughout Europe, Germany, and all those guys. They all got leagues now.
Okay.
So there's a lot of American style. We're not talking about soccer. We're not talking about rugby.
Right. We're talking about
American style football that's going on. So between all of that, and you know, so there's a lot of football worldwide happening right now. The cream of the crop, the NFL, kicks off on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much wraps up, you know, what we wanted to do on this particular show. We talked about the Thursday matchup. We talked about social media. Normally we have a rant, maybe. I don't really have a rant right now.
Do you have anything? Because I don't have a rant either, but I do have something.
Well, I do have something. You want me to do yours? I mean, are you?
Doesn't matter. I got some notes I got to refer to make sure I get everything right because it's about the numbers. But the big news today was Zeke Elliott finally came in. I think we were talking last week. I said, I bet you wasted the day before the season starts to sign. But I was thinking he was going to actually wait till like Friday. But I guess he was thinking, you know what, I got time to get all my stuff moved in and get a practice or two under my belt. Or practice and a walkthrough.
They had been working on those negotiations.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. But you got to remember, him and his agent are the ones that's keeping it moving. They're the ones that back off. They're the ones that come back. We don't like that. I'll talk to you next week. So if it gets turned up, it's not because Jerry's turning it up. It's getting turned up because he wants to play and he wants to get it done. Well, they both want to get it done.
Yeah.
But my thing is,
I think it's smart though for him to come in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, start to touch base.
We were talking about quarterbacks not playing in the preseason and how it might affect them. Let's see how this affects him. A guy that gets hit on every play. Okay. But the deal is that I'm sure everybody knows that Zeke really wanted to be the highest paid running back in the league. And I think that most people would agree that if they don't think he is the best running back in the league, he's darn near the best running back in the league. He's in everybody's top three at least. So asking for that kind of money, I would say, was warranted. Now, Ty Gurley had the richest contract. He had a 4-year deal for $57.5 million. $45 million of it was guaranteed. And we had a show about guaranteed money before. Guaranteed money is a real big deal with these guys that's signing now. Okay, it's a really big deal. But 4 years of 57.5 comes out to roughly $14.375 million per year. Zeke signed a 6-year deal for $90 million. $50 million of it was guaranteed. I think that was a big deal for him. The amount that was guaranteed. Not only did he make more per year than Gurley, but he wanted a bigger guarantee. To him, that was important, okay, as far as me being the best running back in the league is concerned. And he got what he wanted. That's like $15 million per year, man. So that's a big deal. Now, here's my rant that's not a rant. So he bases his thing on Gurley because Gurley was the highest paid. And we got to remember, how much you get paid doesn't necessarily tell everybody how good you are. In other words, the best quarterback doesn't make the most money. The highest paid guy doesn't have the best stats. But these guys use other players as a baseline for what they want for whatever reason. So Gurley was his thing. Looks like Dak Prescott's using Carson Wentz as his baseline. Probably because they got about the same number of years. They play in the same division. And Wentz just signed a nice deal, 4 years, $128 million. That can go up to $144 million. So he's got incentives and things wrapped up in there. $66 million fully guaranteed. And he can get more guaranteed money, up to $107 million total, if he reaches certain plateaus, so to speak. That's a pretty rich contract, but it comes out to $32 million per year. The Cowboys offered Dak Prescott $30 million a year, and he turned it down. Now, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're probably saying Dak's better than Wentz. If you're an Eagles fan, you're probably saying there's no way that Dak is better than Wentz. If you look at it potential-wise, I think Wentz is better. I think we've pretty much seen Dak and who he's going to be for the rest of his career. Not saying he can't have better years and better statistics over time, but Dak is Dak. Wentz still has something left in the tank, a lot left in the tank that we haven't seen yet because of his injuries. But Dak's thinking, I got a playoff win. This guy doesn't. My numbers right up there with his. He was injured. I stay healthy. I hear you, Dak. Yes. The best ability is availability. Absolutely correct. So I hear you, Dak. But you don't just flat turn down $30 million.
Oh, look at his running back. He was turned. Can't imagine what he was turning down until Zeke. Zeke wasn't joking.
That contract, but Zeke's at the top of the running back pile.
So
Dak is not.
Dak is not at the top.
Right. It's like he's fixated on making more money than Wentz. That's his.
But will he be making less than Goff?
I'm not exactly sure how much Goff.
Because that's the other factor that Goff.
But I think Goff is the highest paid quarterback at this time. I believe he just signed the other day, right?
Wait a second.
So I would say that he probably is. And I don't even. First of all, Dak knows better than to try to compare himself to Goff. It's not going to happen. The guy just went to the Super Bowl. 4 years was that?
134.
Your eyes are better than mine. 134 million?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that tops Wentz by a bunch. Okay. So Dak's staying in his lane, so to speak, but he seems to be fixated on making more money than Wentz. That might not be smart.
Okay.
So you can call that a rant if you want to. I think that's not smart at all.
I think that there's the other thing that has to be calculated in, especially right now under the current salary cap, is when you want to win a Super Bowl, is, by getting everything you can get at your skill position.
Oh, absolutely.
Running back, is the pie then so tight to the point that if you don't win it this year, like next year, maybe they're not going to be able to do certain things. Now, that kind of ties into what I wanted to talk about. And to be quite honest with you, we put it up on Ben and Barry, or I put it up on Ben and Barry in football. And that's this article that came out where they're talking about, right now NFL revenues are about $15 billion a year. By 2027, they expect to be at $25 billion. That's a 60% increase. And my question is, and it says, could the NFL teams be giving unprecedented guaranteed contracts extending 48 years out now so they can keep the majority of the expected 60% increase in revenues by 2027? Could the players be kicking themselves in a few years?
How do you think they got so rich? These owners ain't stupid, man. They know what's going on. That TV money is the lifeblood of the league, really, if you really think about it.
The TV money, yes, but now you've got big pocket streamers coming to the NFL. Apple, Netflix, all of these companies that are now beginning their own streaming business. They want to. Twitter, Twitter's looking. They want to do YouTube. They all want to, show have access to live games. You've got the international market. The growth toward there. Even though they got their own leagues, it's American style football that they're looking at.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you got that and gambling. Gambling's coming. So to me and you, especially to me, you look at these contracts going, holy mackerel, look at all of this money. But locking these guys into some of these contracts, because, and then you look out 3 to 5, and, they might not quite have made it to 25, but they might be at 20, 22, halfway. And
it's kind of always going to be like that.
Increase.
It's kind of always going to be like that because, like you said, the television thing alone is going to grow so much in the next 5 years. And then when you start talking about the internet and the streaming and all that stuff, I don't know that these guys will be kicking themselves. I think they're looking at it more like whatever the reason is that they may be willing to guarantee me $50 million and I could stub my toe tomorrow. I'ma take it.
It sounds like a good deal. I mean, I can understand.
And I won't be kicking myself because guess what? In 5 years, Zeke might not be playing.
Well, but that's the attitude they took when they became first-round draft picks. Whatever they give me, I'm gonna take it. Because it's that first contract looks so good. They say the average running back only gets maybe 2 contracts anyway. So it might be really
that's my point.
They took all the money.
That's my point.
But Zeke didn't make it all the way through his contract, and most of these guys aren't making it through their contract.
Because they bet on themselves.
They
outplayed their contracts, and they're getting
in 2 or 3 years. It's going to be interesting to see if when they come back and look to say, okay, yeah, I know I signed this Zeke. I signed this 5 to 8 year contract, but
you won't be 26.
Revenues
then.
are up 20%.
You won't be 26, then you'll be 30. And see, everything evens out, bro. Don't worry about it. If you got a kid playing college ball right now, you should be super happy.
Yeah.
Because them billions is gonna be around right when they're about to crack. You see what I'm saying? Right when they're about to get up in there.
Yeah, man.
Those are the guys. That's why these guys is taking their 50 and 40 million straight up right now.
Well, the money's gonna go up.
Mm-hmm.
The cap will probably increase.
Cap always
proportionately.
Yep.
So you're looking at a potential 60% increase over the next. You said 2027. This is 7 years or so.
Yep.
7 years. So within the decade, man, 6% more money coming into the NFL.
Cool.
And potentially more, depending.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about increasing the prices or tickets or any of that.
And that article you read that was only about TV, right? Or was the streaming and everything attached to that?
It was, a little bit more of the other stuff because it was talking about total revenues.
Right. But I'm saying when they threw out that number, that was a TV number. Or that was a total revenue.
That was total revenue.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, total revenue. So, but again, that's an estimate. Could be more. So I just wanted to mention that this money is getting humongous and a lot of guaranteed contracts, and I just wonder how that would interplay.
Right.
All right?
Yep.
All right. Hey, we're going to wrap this one up. This is Ben and Barry on football. My name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.
You already know who I am.
That's Ben Dickerson, PTTFL. Did you have any fantasy? You're not giving any fantasy.
Not tonight. Not tonight. I'm consumed.
Got
I had my last
fantasy draft. I've never been to a fantasy draft. I'm going to try to stop through and check out these guys and see what they're doing and grab some beers and some food while I'm there. And it'll be my first. I've never seen. I'm a virgin fantasy guy. What can I tell you? A rookie. Well, I'm not a rookie because I'm not playing. I'm just
you're just an observer, but I think you'll enjoy yourself.
All right, good stuff. Any last words?
Go Noles.
Peace out.